Blow, chicka, blow, blow.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode number 3 of The Voice of Victor. Glad to have you here. Well, strange times are upon us as we're all hunkered down because of the coronavirus, worried about what the future may hold, worried about ourselves, worried about our loved ones. Will we get it? Will they get it? So anyway, it's the trickle-down effect, especially in the voiceover industry. I've called a few of my clients and said, hey man, what gives? Haven't gotten any work from you. And they've told me time and time again, they've pulled their media buys, no advertising. No advertising means no voice work. So what do you do during these times of no work? Well, you can sit around like everybody else and wait for auditions to kind of trickle in and hope that you're the first out of the 350,000 voiceovers out there waiting to jump on the auditions. Or you can try to improve yourself. Now, one of the ways to improve yourself, of course, is to redo your demos. That's a given. But another great way to improve yourself during these downtimes is hire yourself a voice coach. That's right, voice coach. Now, voice coaches are for everyone, not just people starting out in the business. Matter of fact, most of the senior guys out there still have to rely on voice coaches. I mean, after all, we're all sitting in a studio by ourselves, talking to ourselves, and we can play stuff for our loved ones, our dogs, our spouses, and of course they're going to say, oh yeah, you sound great, man, you're the best. Or you can leave it to a professional, like a professional voice coach with some experience who can actually give you the real deal. Well, the good news is on today's episode number 3, we have one of the best voice coaches in the country joining us today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Miss Joyce Castellanos. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you again. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Long. Way too long.
Way too long. Haven't been back to LA in a little bit. But anyway, we're glad to have you on the show. And you look wonderful. How you holding up with the coronavirus stuff? You guys staying safe?
Doing our best. Playing a lot of Mexican train. Playing a lot. But doing as best as we can. We're trying to do a lot of Zoom with family and friends.
That's fantastic. And speaking of Zoom, that's how you're doing a lot of your sessions now. I mean, you're teaching, yes?
Teaching Zoom and Skype.
And Skype.
Whatever is easiest for most people, and it's working very well because everybody can be in their familiar surroundings, and we can still see each other and work as if we're in the same room. So
exactly.
It works very well.
Just like this. And that way there's no coronavirus worries. People are staying in their own homes, right?
Exactly.
All right, let's get started on the interview. I've got some questions here for you. Just give us your background and the history of what led you into doing voice acting or voice coaching.
Yes, initially, I was working at NBC in their promo department for the VP of the department, and started training down in the audio bays, and became an audio producer. So, I was working with the likes of Danny Dark and Don LaFontaine and that caliber, which was phenomenal. But that wasn't really directing, It was kind of like, oh, little bastard, great, thank you, goodbye. They were wonderful. And then I moved over to the WB television network when that was there for the whole 12 years almost that they were going. And I was an audio producer there.
Okay.
Not training at that point. At that point, I was just working with the talent that they were trying to establish. Well, that was the period when we went from announcer to conversational. It was a whole different animal.
Right.
And so we had to figure out what was meant by that. How do you get a conversational read when you're writing like an announcer? It was a whole litany of things that were changing at that time, and it really required the understanding of directing a talent and bringing them out and getting the kind of read you were looking for. So right. I actually started training. That's how it started. I started creating classes, and as they say, build it and they will come. People started coming.
So how long has it been? It's been, I mean, you were working at WB and Disney and NBC first, and how long, and then you went right into teaching?
During the time that I was at the WB, I started teaching. And so it's been over 20 years that I've been actually teaching. Coaching, 30-some, yeah.
Okay, so we're right. You and I, I've been doing that, I think it's been 42 years now.
Oh my, yeah.
Just to bring it back around, so in layman's terms, in your opinion, what exactly is voice coaching?
Voice coaching to me is the ability to share the information with the talent on the process of mic technique, breathing techniques, breaking down scripts, understanding the personalities that go into your storytelling. You are a storyteller as a voice actor. You are a storyteller, and that is what's really important to understand. It's not just words on a page when you're telling a story. It's creating that story from your heart, from your honesty, believable and knowledgeable.
Right.
So it's not just I can read a line. It's how do I feel about this? How do I connect to this? Whose point of view am I taking? All these things come in, and what is really important is for each person to find their own style, their own voice,
right,
their own story, not somebody else's that they're doing, and that's So that is one of the things that I think is also important about who you learn from.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And ultimately, you want to find your own voice. You're trying to train people to find their own voice, their own talent. Don't copy the guy that says rated R, because he exists, right? He's already out there. They don't need another one.
Exactly.
And you're teaching, if I can interrupt, you're teaching promo, trailer, commercial, narration. Those are all, every genre has its own style. I know when I do promo, it's different than trailer, which is completely different than commercial, which is completely different for narration.
Oh, yes.
It's all over the place. So you've got to be able to, I guess, put everything in its own place. They're all different.
They are different, and you have to understand the differences so that you can change hats.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to try to explain is that promo is about promoting a show, a television show, and that you are there with them. You're familiar with what's going on.
Right.
Trailers are promoting the theatrical movie, and so it's more point of sale. You're trying to just get that action in and get somebody into the seats. The commercials are sharing the info on a product or service. They're all different directions and different dynamics, and narration and documentary are supporting visuals.
Right.
So your rhythms are going to be different.
Oh my gosh.
Your point of view is going to be different.
Exactly.
And that's what changes, and you have to understand each genre to then reevaluate when you're looking at a script. What is it that you're doing? Who are you talking to? Why are you here? What's your point of view? The basics that you have for commercial, who, what, why, where, and how, they're all there. But it's what is different about it. What's the different purpose that you're looking at?
And that's what a voice coach helps you sort out. You can't get this just by watching the internet. I want to be a voice actor, so I'm just going to... It doesn't work that way if you're going to be successful.
Because you have questions, once you start doing the work, you start having more questions. and you're not going to get an answer from
No.
a video. You know,
No,
and
you're not.
going to get the in-depth that you need. You know, coaching is not just getting behind the mic, it's understanding the whole picture. And then as you do, you start getting behind the mic and it starts making more sense.
Right.
And, you know, learning how to break down a script and how to understand what it's being used for and whose position, you know, whose point of view are you taking. Those are all things that you don't get from a video. You
Right.
need to have a
One-on-one.
human being able to have an objective ear.
A human with experience. Oh, by the way, I trained with you for a bit, and I've you know, it helped me. You know, I landed Cinemax. I was doing work for Lifetime, history, narrated Say Yes to the Dress. I'm currently on 5 TV stations doing the promo voices. And the thing that I learned from you that was so important was in the real world, like for Cinemax, for instance, or I'm also doing Orbit Showtime Network, which is the largest network in the Middle East.
That's fantastic.
It's been a great ride, and it started with the training I got from you. And one thing I'll never forget, you said, you got to be ready. They're not fooling around. I work with 7 or 8 producers within an hour who they send me the script while I'm in the booth, comedy, drama. You know, they're not waiting around. The
Right.
clock is ticking, and so it's generally one take, maybe 2 as a pickup, but that's the reality, and that's what good coaching helps you with, because people don't realize that, oh no, I can just do it. No, it takes training. So I wanted you to know that you know it worked for me.
I'm grateful and proud, but you also, a coach can give you the tools, but the talent needs to take those tools and do the work. Should voice actors teach?
Oh, I'm sorry, we missed one. Should voice actors teach? That was one of them. And you have an opinion.
So I do have an opinion.
I want to hear this one, please, because I don't want to teach.
I bet you would be a good teacher, but I appreciate that.
Not happening.
There are some people who are amazing talent and outstanding teachers. Okay? Because they understand what they do and how they do it. They understand the process of their field, and they are able to work with other talent and let them understand the process and find their own way. There are others who may have been doing fine. Now all of a sudden their stuff isn't going so well, they hang the shingle.
Sure.
And they're doing what they know, but what they know isn't working. Instead of doing that, they should be maybe freshening up their own stuff and reinventing and restarting. So, you know, because as we said earlier, coaching is helping somebody find their own way with the knowledge and information that they need. So telling somebody do it this way and only this way, and because I do it this way, does not teach. It doesn't help.
Right.
That's the dilemma that I have, and it's not everybody, but it is a lot of the people that are trying to teach that don't really appreciate what the teaching means.
Okay, let me see. Currently, right now, is there a trend in voiceovers that you're seeing at all, or is it still the conversational?
It is still the conversational to a point. I am hearing more of the bigger, broader voices, but it's still conversational, not announcer.
Right.
The difference is the announcer would make a big point and then they go on, but they don't do that.
Not
now,
anymore.
The bigger voices are still coming out with a lot of the stuff, but it's more in the storytelling. It's still more storytelling. So the technology is definitely an issue of trend now, where you have to have your home studio. You've got to understand how to.
You got to be an engineer.
Yes, you have to be an engineer,
Yeah.
which is Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
I will come back to that, though.
Okay.
You have to have a visible, online presence. It
Right.
helps because we are so we're just so isolated now.
Right.
Everything is done from home, and therefore, if they don't see you, it's hard for them to know. You have to have for the talent. You need to have your demos up there. You've got to have something available for people to hear,
Right.
so they know that you are there.
Let me say this: as far as voice coaching goes, you can't do one and done. Because a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to hire a voice coach, but it's a process. When you get a new client in, do you say, okay, this is going to take 6 weeks, this is going to take a couple of months, 3 months, or is it all dependent on the person?
It is definitely dependent on the person. One, how much training they've had, or if they are really motivated to practice and work for themselves. There is no magic number.
Okay. More than one, less than 100.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, if
Yeah.
there's more than 100, I think it's time.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business.
But what I prefer to do is I believe in 4 sessions.
Okay.
You try several different styles. You can pull out different opportunities for styles, and then reevaluate.
Okay.
You're going.
That's good. Which gets me to my next question. Now, I've been doing this for a while, making a good living, relatively successful. Somebody like me, do you recommend them coming back and tweaking? Because I'm ready to start some coaching again, because I need to start, it's time to change up my style. There's a lot of auditions that I'm getting that are bigger, and is that something that you would recommend? Say I'm auditioning for the new promo voice of ESPN. This is a true story. And I hired a voice coach at that point, and to get through the second callback, third callback. Is that something that you would recommend?
Oh, highly.
Okay.
Highly. As I said earlier, this is an ongoing process of learning.
Right.
Everybody that I know, from the people that have made millions to those that are starting out, the ones that are up in that category,
yes,
still they work every day, so they're practicing every day.
Sure, absolutely.
But what they're doing is often, listening themselves to the trends and reworking their, reinventing themselves.
You've got to.
But there are times when you need to, if you're going for something big, you want another ear to help guide you,
right,
so that you start to go, oh, that's where it needs to tweak. You need that because it's that important.
I'll tell you what, how does somebody get a hold of you, Joyce?
Oh, well, thank you. You can certainly get a hold of me via phone.
Okay.
Old school. And 805
573
5257.
5257. Got it.
My email is joyce.castellanos@gmail.com. But I always like to say you can text me, because then we can make a call and we know. Sometimes the email doesn't quite make it there in time. But I always love text or phone.
Okay.
And then we know we work on
and you'll be able to fit people in. I mean, I know you're busy.
Would like to say in closing, so to me, this is really how I look at things,
okay,
and how I teach. That you need to get out of your head and into your heart. Okay, it's about visualization and physicality. These are things that I will explain, but these are my, my points of teaching that help, I think, people connect. I think we have been so far out of rhythm with each other that corporate life has changed things so much that we're not supposed to show anything, feel anything, whatever. Well, we have gone back to the real. We've gone back to, and you can't be real without emotion. So that's what we need to do. We need to get back to the emotion, back to the real, and then we can share our stories.
Okay. All right, Joyce, that about wraps it. I mean, you've answered all my questions.
I love it.
As always, The Voice of Victor is brought to you by Orlex. Go to www.orlex.com for sound solutions for all your studio needs. I put all of Joyce Castellanos' contact information down below. If you have any comments or suggestions for upcoming Voice of Victor shows, contact me at ed@edvictorvo.com. And remember to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming shows.